The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you, all on This Week in Cincinnati on 9 on Your Side.
Welcome back. She is the woman at the forefront of solving some of the area's most difficult missing persons cases. Dr. Beth Murray teaches at Mount St. Joseph University. She recently received national recognition from the American Academy of Forensic Science for her service to the group. A few weeks ago, Dr. Murray helped solve the case of 61-year-old Darlene Wilson Norcross. Her identity remained a mystery for 4 years after her remains were found by teens in Westchester. Joining us now is Professor Murray. I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. I want to backpedal just a little bit. Off the very top of this broadcast, we were talking about the Timothy Pitson case. You also deal your work revolves around missing persons cases in many cases. So one question that I have for you, when authorities proceed with cases such as the Pitson case, do they hold back information to prevent what happened in this case, an imposter, an alleged imposter?
There have been forensic cases involving missing persons where there's been identity fraud, where their social security number or other information are taken to use for fraudulent purposes. That could be for financial gain or to start a new life. So we do tread very lightly. I mean, there's at any given time about 100,000 missing people in the United States alone on any given day. And so that's 100,000 individuals whose privacy we have to balance with also getting the most information we can to the public.
In this case, it was revealed in a news conference that the young man who was using the Pitson name saw the case and details about the case on a 2020 episode. Is there always that fear that cases that you're investigating, somebody could pick up information along the lines because of media exposure and things of that nature and then present themselves as somebody who they're not?
I think this case was resolved pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I know our Hamilton County Coroner's Office Crime Lab was able to quickly do a DNA test to establish that that wasn't the case here. I don't think it's these kinds of issues that we think about so much as...
What are the issues you think about?
As I said, like identity fraud, social security fraud, those kinds of things. I'm more involved with the unidentified side of the picture, but each one of those unidentifieds also represents a missing person. So I think holding back things like the dental records, the fingerprints, all that is very important to ensure that a missing person's identity cannot be stolen for whatever reason.
Sure, sure. Let's talk about the Norcross case. That was years a question mark, and you solved it.
Well, I can't say I solved it.
Okay.
I connected the people that ended up solving it. I was there from the very beginning with the recovery of the remains. I worked for quite a while with Dr. Lisa Mannix, the Butler County coroner, and together we decided to try the genealogy approach. I have had a working relationship for a couple of years now with the DNA Doe Project. And so we got them connected, and it really was the DNA Doe Project out of California that ended up solving the case.
There are so many people going to these genealogy projects. We call them genealogy projects, but they try to find out more about their own background. Is that going to help in the long run your work more in the future, do you think?
I think it's a double-edged sword. The DNA Doe Project specializes specifically in unidentified person cases, John, Jane, Baby Doe type cases, whereas other groups like those that solved the Golden State Killer, they're using the genealogy to apprehend criminals. And I think there's a big difference. I think both are very important, but I think identifying criminals might be a reason that some members of the public would be reluctant to put their DNA into one of those databases because they're afraid that it might be found out their cousin is a criminal or something like that. But I think in the cases where we're using that technology to solve unidentified persons cases, that's a different matter in my opinion. So I do think that as the public becomes more aware, they should recognize we're not using Ancestry and 23andMe. There's a different website, GEDmatch, which is used for these kinds of cases. So I don't think people should have fear that their DNA is going to become public or become part of some criminal investigation unless they choose to put it into GEDmatch.
Got it. You know, we see a lot about what you do on fictionalized television. Do they match up or no?
Well, at times yes, and at times no.
Okay.
I think that forensic science has really been thrust much more into the forefront by all of the various television shows that have been done in the last, I don't know, 20 years about it. But I also think there's an unrealistic aspect there. People like myself and other forensic scientists, we don't carry a gun and a badge, we don't talk with family members necessarily, we don't interview witnesses. Each person in an investigation has their own small part, and I really think the heroes are the law enforcement officers. They're the ones that bring the cases together. So I think sometimes with these television shows they want you to follow a cast of characters and come to like them. But they show them doing things that the everyday forensic anthropologist or everyday forensic scientist doesn't do.
I have one more question for you. We have about 30 seconds. What is it that you want the public to know about what you do?
That it's a difficult public service, and that forensic scientists, we grieve with each and every family member that goes through one of these cases. And I think it's important for the public to trust forensic science and to learn as much about forensic science as they can, because it does impact all of our lives.
Doctor, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
A bold new program in the tri-state to reduce youth homelessness. That is next on This Week in Cincinnati.
The people, the headlines, the issues impacting you, all on This Week in Cincinnati on 9 on Your Side.